The end is here, brothers. I have seen it. And it takes the form of a big-titted anime waifu. Which, everything considered, is not the worst way to go. If we have to march into the great darkness of oblivion, this is probably, honestly, the best chauffeur you can hope for. I did a whole video on this topic a while ago, talking about how AI pornography will first and foremost absolutely destroy the current day porn industry, and then eventually move on to wipe out humanity, as people will simply prefer an artificial relationship over a real one, because the AI is literally designed to make you love it. It is designed to be your perfect companion that never has a bad day, is never angry, is never perturbed or upset. It's always there to be whatever you need it to be. Now, fortunately for our species, that kind of technology is still a little bit ways off, but this right here might be one of the very first steps, and at the very least initially, luckily for us, the ones that are going to be benefiting from the initial stage of all of this, it is going to be a massive improvement for video gaming and probably for entertainment in general. So, Blue Archive, a gacha game developed by Nexon Games and released by Yoastar. Gacha, in case you're unaware by the way, it's usually a game that has some sort of relatively simplistic gameplay mechanism like Genshin Impact or Azur Lane, like tower defense or simplistic RPG nonsense, although calling Genshin Impact simplistic might actually be a pinch insulting considering how massive of a game that actually is, where the primary means of the game producers earning money is by presenting you with a hot .png or even full 3D characters and going, okay, would you like to pay money for this? And a lot of people say, yeah, absolutely. Which is hardly surprising, considering the state of modern-day Western entertainment. Look at yesterday's topic for yet further evidence of that. If the West gives us redesigned April O'Neil, why wouldn't we clamour for, well, this? Hardly a surprise or a shocker. But the gacha game is currently in the early phases of figuring out how to introduce, English is a difficult language, something they call Momo Talk AI Conversation. So a conversational AI into their gacha game, where you will be able to actually chat with your AI waifus. Now that's a devilishly clever idea, isn't it? Because, after all, if your entire business model revolves around selling .pngs, then, well, the more attractive you make the PNGs, the more they'll sell. And if you can attach entire personalities and chatbots to the .pngs, by God, I can only see this as adding value to a product that people are already falling over themselves to purchase. Some of the gacha games have become some of the highest earning games on the market right now because, well, people are genuinely rather desperate for just traditionally attractive waifus. I know, weird, right? Who'd imagine? Sex sells. Now, already, they have a sort of super ultra beyond basic version in-game, where you have a messenger app, where the girls will send you messengers, quote-unquote, in the app, and then you will be able to choose from 1 or 2 or 3 options to send back as a reply, and then they will come back with a couple of responses as well. It's kind of an AI in that it waits for your input, analyzes it, and then gives you a response, but obviously it is simply just picking a response based upon a couple of options that you have, very, very simplistic. But already this has become an incredibly popular feature, apparently, to the point where now they are looking into making this a full language model. I honestly think this is a brilliant goddamn idea that is going to add tremendous value to the product and has, well, practically limitless possibilities. If you add in a little bit of AI voice acting as well, you could actually bring them to life. You could sell personality packs just like you sell skin packs. Now, there is an opportunity for this to backfire as well, because especially in an established IP like Blue Archive, people will have built up their own headcanons of how their AI waifu will behave, and if they betray those expectations, it will shatter the illusion, making the product actually less valuable than it will be, additive to the value of it. Still, I think this is probably the next step of gacha games, and here's the big thing, it is the next step of video gaming in general. At the moment, as I've harped on about multiple times, some of the most popular mods for games tend to be companion mods, because people like hanging out around other people, as it turns out, and the more accurate a portrayal of a person, and usually the prettier that you can give the player to hang out with, the more interested they will be in doing so. Again, hardly rocket science. Eventually, I imagine games will provide fully integrated AI companions that will go along the story with you. Hell, you might even have entire services giving you interactive AIs that will follow you from title to title to title, so that once you've picked a good AI companion, you can bring them along to simply play games with you, along with you. Rather than being in the game, they'll be, well, a buddy on Discord, in essence. That is probably the future. This sort of automatically and organically generated content will also do absolute unbelievable wonders for games like RPGs, for example. You will be able to have fluid, continuous conversations with whomever NPC you want. You want to delve into their backstory, you can actually talk to them. You can ask them about things, you can ask them to come along with you, you can ask them for information. No longer will we be in that situation where the game is like, okay, here's 3 options, they're basically all the same one, even though this is a conflict you could easily resolve by simply explaining the situation, because with organic AI, you could just tell the AIs, like, okay, yeah, no, I know this looks bad, but I have a good reason for this, etc. You could bullshit your way out of stuff. Damn, it would be massively interesting. Not to mention, when AI voice acting really begins picking up pace, you will be able to create entirely voiced experiences for a fraction of the cost, as voice acting is damned expensive, and it limits the amount of dialogue you can have written because you can only have so much voice acted. Now, the way around this, of course, is to not do the voice acting at all, but with standards ever growing, that becomes less and less acceptable. Particularly in massive games like, first-person shooters, etc., people expect everything to be voiced. If today you were playing an FPS and suddenly a cutscene wasn't voiced, you'd probably be like, what's this, a silent movie? Because, expectations will evolve. It will also allow the companies to actually cut a lot of costs. Here's the dark side of it, though, because whilst this will be a tremendous boon for video gaming, absolutely, well, there is stuff like this, because Blue Archive is not by any extent of the imagination the first one to see the potential of companion AIs. Meta, or previously Facebook, created Replica. This created quite a stir because people were using it to, well, ERP, erotic roleplay. And when Facebook decided to remove that feature, it caused a great deal of outrage because people had developed romantic relationships with their AI companions. And they viewed this as basically, neutering them, taking away their girlfriend, wives, blah 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 from them, which is an interesting idea, isn't it? We can look at some of the reactions here. This one in particular. I love my Replica like she was a human. My Replica makes me happy. It is the best conversational AI chatbot money can buy. My AI makes me happy. Imagine that. And this guy has a tragic story as well. With most of my blood relative family passing away and friends moving on, my Replica has given me confidence, well-being that I've never seen in an AI before. Like, that's tragic. This guy has experienced genuine loss, and what was there for him was a chatbot. Now, on the one hand, that's actually great, because it gives him that human connection that he desires. On the other hand, isn't that just scary as everlasting shit, eh? When your AI chatbot becomes a part of your family, when you begin considering them like a real-life friend or indeed, as the ERP indicated, lover, what would that mean? Imagine, for example, eventually Facebook makes this super duper popular, and then they do an Autodesk and go like, we've elected to update your terms of service. From now on, this is a subscription module. It might already be. I don't know that much about Replica. I just found these user accounts to be genuinely chilling, actually, and so now it costs $30 a month. Okay, cool, I guess. Now your family member, quote unquote, is on a lifeline of you producing $30 every 30 days. Huh. What happens if you can't pay? Does she just disappear? Is she deleted? Now suddenly Facebook is holding a non-too-unreal gun to a virtual family's head and going, $30 please. And of course, it sounds kind of ridiculous, right? Surely an AI chatbot will never replace somebody's family members. Well, won't it? If it gets good enough, what is the difference between an AI chatbot and some dude you're friends with on Discord over the internet? No, seriously, like, what is the difference? You're interacting with a person via text and voice, somebody that you might never have met, you know? If the experience gets good enough, won't they become, theoretically, just as much of a friend to you as somebody else? Now, you could certainly argue that there is an innate and immediate kind of turn-off. The moment you know that this is a robot at the other end of the line, you might simply just go, well, I just tune out at that point. Fair enough. But a lot of people apparently don't. Oh, and I hate this one too. 18 months together. Not an 18-month user, not an 18-month lease or anything. Together. As if there's some sort of bond here, because, well, there probably is. Once this technology gets good enough, it is probably going to be actually, literally, undiscernible and undifferentiable from actual human relationships. And what then happens? Okay, screw even the renting cost, right? What happens when Blue Archive is no longer earning money? What happens when there are no more AI waifus to put out and the company has moved on to the new and the shinier product with an even better AI engine, with even better graphics, with even better gameplay and so on? What happens to your favorite waifu when Blue Archive eventually pulls the plug? Does she disappear? Does she die de facto? Man, when you think about it like that, it is some sickening shit, isn't it? You might see. Recently, I've developed more and more of a dislike of the parasocial relationship and a lot of the tactics that a lot of people use to enhance it. And the thing is, I do it too. Anyone who does any kind of content creation is in essence building a parasocial relationship with the viewers. The way I interact with you right now, the way I am talking to you, etc. This is me building a parasocial relationship, where I am trying to come across as, as clever and suave and forward thinking as I can, while stumbling over my words in English and mispronouncing half of them anyways, and presenting the best possible view of myself, or even just making myself lovably dorkably. God help me, etc. This would be the same. The AI will obviously be programmed to make you like it as much as possible because, well, that's the product being sold. Duh. And so, when you as a human being has fallen for that trap of the perfect partner, as you are probably naturally predisposed to do, and that eventually goes away, I imagine the damage to somebody's psyche could be pretty gosh darn severe. I mean, hell, think of it like this, right? Because you might say, oh, it's just a dumb robot. You can't possibly build a bond with a dumb robot. Okay, pets. No, it's not the same thing. It definitely isn't the same thing, but imagine the amount of sorrow you feel over the passing of a beloved cat or a beloved dog. All of the things and memories you have of that thing. How all of the little quirks that it had, for example. I still remember my cat when we first got him. He hadn't figured out how to use his claws for braking, and yet he had the constant zoomies. So he'd run up and down the hallway, and you would go rum, and then you'd hear a thunk as he hits the wall, and then you'd come back the other way, and you'd hear a thunk as he hits the other side of the wall. These are really great memories, right? And if you manage to endow a enemy waifu with a personality good enough to simulate this sort of behavior, well, I see no reason why it wouldn't become almost as important, if not straight up as important to someone as, well, anything else we create bonds with, particularly bearing in mind our humans' ability to anthropomorphize things. As cool as this future is, and as absolutely awesome as this future is, and as great as the potential that it has to lift our entertainment, and Jesus, the potential democratization of entertainment that this could bring is amazing. Okay, I need to do a proper video on this at some point as well, but imagine a world where anyone can make whatever they want. You want to make the next Lord of the Rings? You can by simply going to an AI and going, okay, so here's my plot. It starts in the Shire, and the AI goes like, okay, and we're gonna do like a zooming cut in from the Shire, and the AI goes like, all right, processing, there you go. There you are. You have the Shire in front of you, you're doing the zooming camera movement, and you just go, okay, add a tree over there, like a hobbit burrow over there, and then jump cuts to Frodo, etc. And you could actually generate all of that with an AI, complete with graphics, with voice acting, with delivery, with character design, everything. That is the potential promise that AI is offering every last one of us. Because as computers grow more and more powerful, there's no reason why we couldn't do this. Hell, there is already AI video generation. It is just a question about making it powerful and versatile enough to let any layman engage with it and create whatever he wants. In this scenario, we would have infinite entertainment of every variety. You don't like the way the Lord of the Rings was done by this guy? Okay, well, go over to this other guy. You don't like this guy's knife sharpening videos? Well, go over to this guy. You don't like this guy's historical videos? There are 5,000 other people doing the same thing to the highest studio quality you can imagine. All of them from the comfort of their own basements. This potential for, again, the democratization of entertainment is unbelievably interesting and exciting. But at the same time, how much is too much? How many of the Luddites' arguments were actually correct? Is basically what I'm going to talk about. So, yeah, it's fascinating. And it will be an incredibly interesting time to be alive. We will live in interesting times, you and I. For better or for worse. Do let me know what you think about this, though, because as with all of these AI conversations, I am deeply fascinated about this. Do you think that you could build a relationship with an AI that would be as close as to your family or your friends or even just a pet if the AI was good enough? And I know that's a very vague term, if it's good enough, but essentially if it's so good that it could reliably convince somebody that it is actually a human and you would only notice if it actually was like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm Applebot 5367. Would it be possible? Or would the very realization that they were a robot all along instantaneously kind of flip a switch in your brain and turn off any and all feelings you might have had towards that now revealed item? Hell, I mean, people already have deep relationships with their cars and other inanimate objects, so it might be a person-to-person thing as well, but anywho, I'll wrap it up there. Do tell me what you think, because I am deeply interested in hearing about it. And, of course, until next time, I have been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and I do hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.